Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's class, which is the Winsor Newton Mistletoe Holiday Wall Art. My name is Tim DePack, and I am from Winsor Newton. I'll be your moderator today. And I'm being joined by Shealeen Louise, who will be your artist instructor for today's class. And Shealeen will be taking you through today's class by providing some information about the products being used and showing you how to perform some of her favorite watercolor painting techniques, all while creating this holiday mistletoe using the Winsor Newton Cotman Watercolor paints. She'll also give you a sneak peek at some of her upcoming classes, the first one for 2022. I dropped in a link earlier on the chat over there, so if anybody needed to sketch for the class, it's available on the side there. And if not, if you needed throughout the class, we can drop that in there again for you. And also, upon completion of the class, there'll be a survey that comes in your email. Please let us know what you think about the class, how we did, and if there's any particular topics that you'd like to see Shealeen perform in the future in these classes. Please feel free to sit back and paint with Shealeen and enjoy the class. And as Felicia told you, that the replay will be available in 24 hours at the conclusion of the class for you to go back and watch and redo the class. And I'm going to pass this over now to Shealeen.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to my last Michael's class of the year. So today, as Tim mentioned, we're going to be doing this holiday mistletoe inspired painting. And I think this is a really great painting for all skill levels, all ages. It's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. It's going to be, kind of wintry. And so hopefully you got your cup of tea ready and you're ready to just relax with me for the next hour while we paint. So let's talk through some supplies and we'll get started. All right, so today I'm going to be using 5 different colors. I'm using Alizarin Crimson, Cadmium Red, Burnt Sienna. Sorry, can't really see that there. Lemon Yellow and Sap Green. And so I'm using all tube paints. If you're using pan watercolors, that's totally great as well. I have mine squeezed out onto this palette and I'll be mixing there. For brushes, I'm using a size 5 and a size 1. These are Cotman round brushes. I'm using 7x10 cold press watercolor paper. And then I have just a pencil and eraser over here, just a click pencil and a little eraser. I have water, paper towel, and I think that is all. So I'm going to walk you through my process for sketching out this composition. And then we'll paint it together. So
Shealeen, super quick, sorry to bother. Can you put the
Yeah.
finished piece on the screen right in front of you there so it's real big so people can see that real quick?
Sure can. Here we go.
Just a second. Perfect. If everybody sees that now. Okay.
So that's our finished, that's our what we're going to be working towards today.
Great, thank you.
All right, so and I'm in a house with my baby, my mom, my brother, and my nephew. So you might hear some babies crying today. You've been warned. So I'm going to start with this top stem here. And just kind of loosely draw these lines. I don't want any lines to be too straight. For this bow, just kind of draw this center kind of oval shape. And then let's draw this ribbon going off to the right and the left. Okay. Okay, and then I have this bottom part here. Okay. And then for this ribbon, I'm going to go ahead and draw. So we have 2 lines. Okay. So there's the outer line and then this inner line. And you don't want it to be like perpendicular the whole time. You don't want it to be like the same width. We want there to be some parts that get really narrow and some parts are a little wider. And it kind of makes it look a little more realistic. Hold on one second.
Just let everybody know while Shealeen stepped away for a minute there. You'll notice that she is tracing that a little bit darker, so that's so everybody can see it on the screen, just so you know.
Okay. Okay, so I'm getting, this ribbon is getting really thin up here on this right side, a little thicker. So there we go. Okay, so now let's work on the mistletoe. So I think I'm going to start by just drawing these berries that I have here. And I'm going to loosely reference my sketch. It's not going to be perfect, like all my placement. I'll try my best, but it probably won't be exactly like my sketch. But I'm going to try and at least just get the same number of berries, same number of leaves. Okay. Actually, I'll get that one a little higher. I know I probably mention this every time, but one of my favorite little tricks for making a sketch quickly is I like to just put my watercolor paper over my computer screen and then just go into a dark room in my house and I'll sketch it like that. That's a it's the easy way to do it. The hard way to do it is to take your time and try and sketch it out. But if you're ever pressed for time, that's a good way to do it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the branches that I'm seeing back here. So I'll go ahead and start here at the top, just underneath the bow here. So reaching down towards these berries. And then we're going to reach over here towards the right. And I have one leaf that's going to be kind of turning inward like that. Notice that kind of turn there. So you kind of have to draw this S shape, and then you can draw a line just right here along the back side of that leaf. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to skip out on drawing these little, you see how I drew these little tiny circles? I'm just going to add those later. Those are going to be really light, so I'm not going to worry about that for now. If you drew it out, that's totally fine. Okay, so we'll draw some more stems back here. Okay. A couple more leaves here. Let's draw some leaves that are underneath other leaves now. So I'm drawing this little leaf that's just hiding behind this bigger leaf. And then I'll draw a large leaf here. A small leaf right here next to that one. And if you want to just if you want to freestyle it at all and just add leaves where you think that they should go, that's awesome. Something that always makes me really excited is when people send me their finished paintings and it doesn't even really look like my same composition. Sometimes people just like to go off script and kind of generally follow my idea, but come up with something totally different. And that's always really fun. I don't always recommend it for everybody, just, depending on your skill level, but I always love to see it if you kind of create something that looks pretty different than mine. All right, a few more leaves over here. I'll draw this leaf here that's overlapping this leaf. And go ahead and erase these pencil lines. And we'll draw Leaf coming over here to the left. Go ahead and connect all these berries, make sure they're connected. And just a few more. So one leaf here, one over here, and then one right here. And then my last leaf, unless I've missed any, is right there. All right. All right, so that feels pretty good. Obviously, you can tell it's not the exact same shape. There's a little bit of differences here and there, but that's okay. So I'm going to pull my sketch out of the frame. I'll put it there. And it's time to start painting. So I have all the colors I need here on my palette. So what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to start by painting these little berries. Okay, so the way I'll get this color is I'm going to mix some alizarin crimson and a little bit of sap green. And we're going to create this really faint, kind of almost grayish puddle here. And I want you to grab a little bit of lemon yellow. We're going to just get started by doing a bunch of color mixing. So that's sap green, alizarin crimson, and a little bit of lemon yellow. So I want you to be creating kind of like a grayish yellow, like a gray with kind of a yellow undertone. If it looks too green, add a little bit more red, alizarin crimson. And I want this color to be so watery. So just add a good amount of water here. All right, so try your best to kind of match what you're seeing here. It's okay if it's not right. It's okay if it's not exactly the same. And then what we're gonna do, and I'm using my size 5 brush here, my 5 round. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead and trace kind of the outer edge of all of these little berries, okay? And I'll pull this down for you so you can see it just a little bit better. And let's just trace the outer ring of these berries. It's going to be super light color, okay? I don't want this to be too dark. You can always add a little bit more dark color later, but it's hard to lighten it if you go too dark too soon. So it's kind of a nice, like I said, a little bit of a yellowish gray. Just go ahead and trace all those, just the outer edge, basically wherever there's pencil. That's where I want you to be adding that color. And we'll keep the center light. All right. So now I'm going to get a mixture here for the ribbon. So I'm going to do alizarin crimson and cadmium red. So alizarin crimson is very pink and cadmium red is it's kind of more of an orange color. So between the two, it kind of, to me, it creates a nice kind of true red. All right. And once you have a nice amount of color here, let's go ahead and just paint the entire ribbon, okay? And you might want to avoid this spot for now. If your berries are still kind of wet, you can just paint that part last. Or you can come back to it in a little while, whatever you feel comfortable with. And we'll just go ahead and do a solid wash here. Just try and make this color nice and even. I want it to be pretty strong. So we don't want this mixture here to be too watery. Make sure there's a good amount of color in there. And I feel like I don't have enough, so I'm adding to this mixture here real quick. All right.
As you're painting this, I have a question for everyone in the audience. I'd like to know where they're going to hang this picture up after they're finished with it.
And also, do you have to kiss somebody if you're underneath a painting of mistletoe?
I would love to see people after they finish their work where they want to show it on the Michael's gallery. Let's see one back a little further, but right over their doorway.
Uh-huh. This is the first time I've ever painted mistletoe, I think. So this is a fun new experiment for me. So just remember, like, you want the ribbon to be different widths. You don't want it to all be the same width. Makes it look a little more realistic. And my berries here are super dry, so I'm just gonna go for it. No worries there. Different widths. You want it to be thin and then thick. Okay. And then over here on this side. And I think I'll probably come back in a little bit and add a little bit more dark red in a few spots, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. Sometimes I have to wait till it dries to know if I want to add a little bit more of a deeper value. As it is drying, actually, I'm going to just add a little bit more, deepen those values. I don't want this to be a pink ribbon. I want it to be a red ribbon. And so that takes a couple layers of paint. You definitely need to add a lot. Watercolor likes to dry lighter than it is when you first put it down. It's always going to dry a little bit lighter. So just keep that in mind. The way we get dark colors in watercolors, we do lots of layers.
Would you say that's the paper that you're using as well because it's absorbing the paint and letting it dry quicker?
Are you asking if it is drying lighter because of the type of paper?
Yeah, I'm saying because so you're using the 140 pound cold pressed paper. I would think that it's absorbing much quicker into the.
It probably is. That's a good question, though. I'm actually not sure. I've never done a color depth comparison using different types of paper. That's a great question. I'm curious if it is. I guess that would make sense because it definitely is absorbing it.
Okay.
Like straight into the core of the paper. And I've heard people talk about that, like when it's cotton paper, like it should be going deep into like the core of the watercolor paper. So I guess that would make sense. It's just pulling it straight in there. Whereas
someone just noted in the chat there they use 300 pound paper and it's very thirsty paper. So
oh yeah,
we're not using 300, but we do know that it's pulling in, sucking up that paint as you're putting it on there.
300 pound paper is awesome because you get like no waves in your paper. It's a very rigid type of paper. But yeah, I never use paper thinner than 140. So I am curious if I was to use like a lighter weight, like if it would just end up staying a lot of a deeper value. Need to experiment. All right, so my ribbon feels good. Hopefully you're liking how yours looks. I'm going to move over to the leaves and the stem. So I'm going to keep my leaves and stem simple today. I think I'm just going to keep it a sap green. I think sap green is just a perfect true green color, especially for mistletoe. So go ahead and get some green mixed over here. Just kind of rub your brush in that color, get a nice little puddle here. And I'm still using my size 5 round brush, which holds a nice amount of water and then it also has a nice point. And I need that point to work. So if your brush is starting to look kind of splayed at the ends, like if the bristles are starting to look kind of like a broom, you might want to switch brushes. use something with a finer point. And I'm going to start here at the top, and I'm going to draw this stem, really deep, rich color here. All right. And then once I do that, I'm going to come underneath this ribbon here and go ahead and just drop this green just underneath there, right up to those berries. Let me go ahead and pull this in a little tighter for you to see. As you can see, I don't stay in the lines very well. And that's okay, because afterwards I'll just erase all of that and it'll be just fine. All right, so I'm going to go over here to the right. I'm using a pretty strong mixture of sap green here. This is not the, it's got some nice flow, so there's a good amount of water in it, but there's also a ton of pigment, so it's a very strong green mixture here. And then let's go over here to the right side. And let's go ahead and paint our leaves. And actually for my leaves, I actually would like to keep this mixture just a little bit lighter. So just add a little bit of water, and that's how you lighten the color. Just add a little bit of water over here. So I just add a little water right over here. Can you see it? And then go ahead and paint those entire leaves. So just notice how that paint color is a little bit lighter now because I added that water. And I think as I'm doing this, as I'm painting these leaves, I'm just going to go ahead and paint all of my leaves this same value of green. So kind of watery. And I'm just going to take a few minutes here and just paint all of these leaves, and just try and keep them a nice, smooth, even, you know, an even wash for every single one of them. So I don't know if anybody wants to hear about it, but I'm going to tell you about my morning this morning. So last night before bed, our Wi-Fi at our house was not working. So I was like, well, sometimes Wi-Fi just seems to fix itself. So I'm going to go to sleep and hopefully tomorrow it'll be back on. But this morning, Wi-Fi still wasn't working. And so I'm like on the phone trying to figure out what to do about the Wi-Fi, because obviously for this class, I need Wi-Fi. And all the while, like Raphael is like not wanting to take his morning nap. So he's crying. The propane guy showed up to fill up the propane tank. I also was making a loaf of bread because that was something you should do on a crazy morning like this morning. But I was making a loaf of bread. One of our dogs ran off when I opened the door to let the propane, or to talk to the propane guy. It was crazy. And I had a lot I wanted to do before this class, just, you know, getting ready. But so I ended up calling my brother, and I asked him if I could come over here to his house to teach my class today, use their Wi-Fi. So I'm currently in my nephew's, room, and I'm currently painting on his changing table. So sometimes you got to be scrappy, figure this stuff out. Oh my gosh. So this is literally the most calm moment of my day, just painting with you guys today. It's been a
You have had
doozy.
one morning already, and you still have half a day to go after this.
Yes, I do. And this afternoon, I'm watching Raphael and my nephew Aesop. So I'm going to be babysitting this evening. So I'm just enjoying this time right now. It's so nice to just spend an hour painting.
This is your quiet relaxation hour.
It honestly really is. It really is. Sometimes I just need that, you know, with, I don't know, this season of life for us is really, really crazy. Like we're about to move into a new home. right before Christmas, and that home it still needs a lot of work. It's kind of a construction zone right now. So Dan, my husband, is over there, all day, every day, getting it ready. And yeah, some days I need like just 30 minutes or an hour just to sit down and paint. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to work on. The other night I had, I put Raphael to sleep and I had some time. So I just grabbed a big paintbrush I had, piece of paper, and I just drew a bunch of dashes, just watercolor dashes. Like there was no, no agenda. There was no thought of, can I sell this? There's no thought of, could I teach this? I just needed to sit down and paint. And it was so calming and it was so nice. And it was just fun to watch the colors move. But yeah, painting can be so peaceful, so therapeutic. Even when painting watercolors is, what I do for my job, I still find it so peaceful. And I'm really grateful for that, because I know other artists who, painting became a little bit more of a stress in their life, or it felt more like work after a while, but not me. I still love it. It's very peaceful for me. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that. I feel like I always want this season of the year to be so peaceful, and you have these visions of sitting by the fire, knitting and baking cookies. This season has been so crazy for us, but still good, but it's definitely kind of nutty.
I'm sure everyone in the audience is very happy that you're taking a lot of time out of your busy schedule to paint for us. We appreciate it here at Winsor and we love your work. And it's great to see everything come to life, as it's a blank sheet of paper. And then at the end, an hour later, we got beautiful artwork being produced. And then also to share, we have the audience, beautiful artwork that they're creating. They share on the screen as well.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a bright spot in my life to get to meet you guys here and teach you my process. All right, so I am just about finished with these leaves. Probably one of the more time-consuming parts of this painting, but super calming. I love to just do something kind of repetitive like that. It's very, very peaceful. All right, so making sure all of my stems have some green on them too. I don't think I missed anything. I think I'm good here. So I am going to now, could do so many things. What do I want to do now? I think I'm going to go back to my berries and add a little bit more of a darker value. So go back to this mixture we had earlier here. This was the sap green, alizarin crimson, and lemon yellow. And I'm going to add just a little bit of burnt sienna to this, just because I want it to be a little bit darker. A little bit of burnt sienna. So it's going to make it more of like kind of a rust tone. And I'm going to just add a little bit of this color to some of these spots where I want there to be a little bit of a shadow with these berries. So basically just like where there's two berries overlapping one another, just make the berry that's on the bottom side, just add that little shadow right there. Does that make sense? And I can pull this in a little tighter for you. Maybe you want the outer edge to be a little bit darker. I think that would actually be a nice look too. And that helps us just make it look like these berries are round. It's tricky to paint white things on watercolor paper because the paper's already white. And so sometimes what can happen is when you try to paint white, whatever subjects, berries, flowers, whatever it is that you're painting that's white, sometimes the error people make is to go too gray. You really want to work slowly whenever you're painting white subjects on the white paper. Got to work slowly. Don't want to add too much dark color too quickly. So I'm just going to go around the edges here. I actually like that look to just make the outer edge just a little bit darker. All right, so now I want to add some deeper greens in here. So right now all of our leaves look kind of flat, right? Like it's just one tone. So let's go back to the sap green mixture here. Let's see. So I'm going to start over here on the right side. So this leaf here that's turning inward, let's go ahead and make the inner side of this leaf a darker green. And some of these leaves that are reaching underneath other berries or other leaves, let's make those ones darker. And this is going to really help bring these leaves to life, make them look a lot more dynamic, make it look like some are maybe more in the front and some are more pushed towards the background. So some are in the foreground, some are in the background. So notice how as I'm painting this leaf right here, as I'm painting it this darker color, it's getting pushed to the background and the leaf in front of it is in front of it. It looks like it's closer to you. Go ahead and paint. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this leaf back here. Make that one a little darker. We can make this leaf over here. This is kind of one of those background leaves. Add a little bit of that darker sap green mixture. And I'm still using my size 5 brush. I haven't felt like a need to switch it up yet. A lot of that process for me with brushes, and it's kind of intuitive, like I'll just be working and then working on a little spot where I'm like, oh, I need to switch to a smaller brush. But I love when I can just use one brush for multiple types of things. Like I love when a brush holds a lot of water, but also has a nice point. So I can still do some good detail work. The less I have to mess with my flow, the better. I'm going to come over here, paint this one darker. This one is over here on the left side, hiding behind another leaf. What else? I'm going to deepen just a couple of these leaves, just a little bit. I like to see a nice variety, a nice spectrum of color values here. I don't want them all to just be one shade, not just 2 shades. I want there to be a few different color values here. We'll deepen this one a little bit. How about we'll deepen this one over here too, just a little bit. It's not quite as dark of a color as some of these these leaves over here in the background. If you want, you can deepen them even more. Just come back and add a little bit more of that sap green. And I'm going to take this sap green mixture here. And I'm going to go ahead and make my stems a little bit darker. How about just underneath this ribbon? What if we made that a little darker? And then suddenly it feels like there's a little bit of a shadow right there. I want this stem up here to be a little bit darker as well. So I'm going to make the right and left sides of it a little bit darker. I'm going to make, actually I want all of this to be a little bit darker. I like that. That feels nice. Feels like there's some nice drama. And actually I am going to switch brushes here because I'm going to be working on these stems here. And let's go ahead and just darken these stems just a little bit. And I'm gonna do one more detail for these leaves. So I'm going to use this point. I'm actually going to switch back to my 5 brush. Personally, I actually feel like this point is a little bit sharper than my 1 brush was today. This brush is brand new, so, so it has a really nice fine point here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this sap green, and I want to just draw some lines on these leaves. And I think we're going to just do this on every single one of these. So these are just little veins reaching all the way the length of these leaves. So they're not reaching out to the right and left like a lot of leaves typically do, but mistletoe leaves, they just have kind of that starting at the bottom and going all the way, kind of like a graded look. And go ahead and do this on every single one of these leaves. Does not need to be perfect. It could be, you can just draw a few lines.
When you get a chance, Shealeen, can you hold that up a little bit closer?
Yeah, absolutely.
See the details that you're doing. Thank you.
I'll go and do that right now. So notice how my my lines aren't perfect. Sometimes there's these kind of little lost and found edges. Like I'll start one, and if the brush lifts up a little bit, that's kind of a nice look. I don't want it to be too perfect. And just keep on going, same technique all the way around. And that definitely gives some nice definition to these leaves. Kind of just gives them that little bit extra. I don't really like to see just like a leaf that is just one color without any, it needs some lines. I think leaves need lines in them. Okay, so let's see here. A couple more details I'm going to do. And let's see here. I'm going to go back to that lemon yellow color, like I mentioned earlier, and go ahead and just get this little puddle going here. Just lemon yellow, or you can use cadmium yellow, you can use yellow ochre, whatever yellow you like. But I like this kind of crisp, cool yellow. And so what I'm going to do is just add little seeds to just a few little spots. Kind of at like the, where like these leaves are kind of, what's the word, where they kind of branch out in different directions. You can add it to whatever spots you think it will look good. Add one right here. Just a little tiny detail. I think adds a little, nice little something. I'll put right there, I'll add one here. Where else? So it's a pretty subtle look. I don't even know how well you can see it over Zoom, but I think it just adds a nice.
Pull that all the way in, we might be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
See. Right there. Yep.
Yeah. So it's just a little effect, adds a little something to it. And then this is going to be the last detail. No, maybe one of the last details. So go ahead and mix some burnt sienna. Just grab some burnt sienna from your palette here. And then I want to add these little, what do you call these little dots on berries? I guess it's just kind of the, not the stem, but these little dots that you see on berries. Just that would be at the, I don't want them to look like little, I don't want them to look like little eyeballs. So don't make the dot in the center. Try and make it off to the right or left, top, bottom. But we do not want eyeballs. Don't want to feel like there's like all these little eyes staring at you when you're looking at your painting. And then I'm actually going to mix this burnt sienna, and I'm going to go back to my red mixture, and I'm going to deepen that red color even more. So that was alizarin crimson, cadmium red, and just add a little bit of burnt sienna to it. It's going to make it even darker. And just in a few spots in my ribbon, I want to just add a tiny bit of extra depth. Maybe in some of those places where, right where the ribbon looks like it's turning, you can just add, and see how that just makes it look like there's almost like a little bit of a shadow. It's really subtle, a really subtle detail, but I think it adds something nice. Do that on all sides of it. Maybe a little bit right here underneath on this left side. Maybe just underneath that center where it ties. Yeah, that feels nice to me. So I'm going to let this dry for a minute. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of future classes just for fun. So while you're finishing up your paintings, I'm just going to hold them up for you. So January, is it 18th, Tim? We're going to be doing this lotus.
Yes, January
painting.
18th.
Perfect. Probably at the same time. We're going to be painting this lotus painting together just to celebrate the new year. And I'm really looking forward to this one. This is going to be fun. We're going to do a little bit of a background wash and just using some of my favorite colors, favorite techniques. And then in February, we're actually going to be doing another herb class. So I think a couple of months ago it was, we did a class where we painted basil, rosemary, and I think, did we do, I can't remember if we did thyme or rosemary, or thyme or oregano, but we're going to be painting a new 3 parts, 3 different paintings for you to have in your kitchen. And I'm really looking forward to that one. That's going to be a fun class. So if anybody wants to, I would actually love to see what you've made today. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to switch to the grid view. I would love to see your paintings if you would want to hold them up for me. Wow, those look awesome. I love to see, I see some red berries in there. These ribbons look fantastic. Lots of different color values. Beautiful. Oh, thank you for holding those up for me. See, a lot of you guys don't have your cameras on. That's okay. I probably wouldn't if I was just watching a class like this. Okay, so I'm going to, I think my painting feels pretty dry. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil markings. And you definitely don't want to do this till your painting is really dry. Feels pretty good. I've ruined some paintings by erasing too soon, so be careful. One trick I heard once is if you fill it with the back of your hand and it feels cool, then it's still not dry. Like it might not smudge, but it's not technically dry. So if it's cool at all, that means there's still some drying to be done. And that's actually lifting up pretty nicely. I love this. I don't know what this brand is, but it's just one of those kind of old school rubber. I don't remember what they're called, but it's a great eraser. And if I had given this a little bit more time, I might get a little more vigorously after some of these thoughts, but I don't want to mess with it. So Okay. Well, that feels like a good place for me to end this painting today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I absolutely love meeting you guys here every month or so. And I'm looking forward to teaching you some more classes next year. So I hope you guys have an amazing holiday season, a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'll see you in 2022. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.